Hip hop is our number one love here on the Sport Garage. Every Saturday 3 to 7 p.m. and we love this sort of music formation. Ice Cube, you know how we do it live on 88.8 Radio Generation.
The Sports Garage, fueling your afternoon with the fire of sport.
Yes, and you've been listening to me live here from 3 p.m. and it is now exactly 4:35 p.m. D-Mas is my name. Dennis Masinde Kitui is a government is a government version of it, and you are on the Sport Garage. I am in esteemed company this Saturday. The legend of the rugby game, Charles Cardovillis, is right here with me. And while we were offline, we had, I'd call it heart-to-heart, sort of. No, okay, that's a bit too much. But talking about one of the people who has really inspired both of us. I'll speak for myself. One of the key reasons I'm literally here on this seat is because of a man, God rest his soul, Sean Cardovillis. I loved every Saturday afternoon. My boss will forgive me for saying this, 3 to 7 every afternoon, 2 to 6, I did 2 to 7, music and sports by Sean Cardovillis was a fantastic show, fantastic entryway into sport, and the manner in which he explained sport and made it loved, if you like, was just next level. He had a way with words. He had a lovable personality. He was a warm character. And it's absolutely fantastic to have his brother Charles Cardovillis with me in studio. And while we were away, we spoke about some of the things they used to do together, obviously, as brothers. Obviously, also in broadcasting. And you can talk maybe for a moment about Sean. And, he inspired many. I'm sure he inspired you somehow.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously in his early career in the sports, he was a top athlete, top cyclist, did really well, cycled for Kenya, and then got into the broadcasting world and did a fantastic job. And as you said, he became the voice of sport, and have many memorable moments. When I walk into a studio like this, I remember him. And he'd invite me for his shows, and I'd be his knowledge, his brain for rugby, his feeder, giving him all the rugby news, what's happening in the world of rugby, and we formed a really good partnership. So I really enjoyed working with him, and never forget him. And he's totally inspiring. Taught me lots of things on how to deal behind the mic, what to say, how to say it, and
you
it was
really
fantastic.
Accomplished, man.
Yeah. So I mean, a big part of him lives in me. We miss him, and we can continue just doing what he loved to continue living and celebrating his life.
100%. And I can promise you, by the way, Charles, that Sean's spirit lives through someone like Dennis Masinde. And you can talk to my friends, my producers, all the guys who work or live in and talk to me on a daily basis, and he is one of the key reasons why I take up this. So it's a fantastic moment for me to be here with you and to celebrate his memory. Now we move on quickly to something interesting that's happening in the world of rugby before we come back to Charles, and it is the Rugby Championships taking place. And you could call today the final day, if you want to call it the finals, because today we will have an outright winner of the Rugby Championship. So today there have been two matches. Earlier on, Australia taking on New Zealand, and Charles, the game ended 28-14. By the way, if you've tuned in live on www.rgk.co.ke, you can watch what's going on in studio in full Technicolor 2K, by the way. And Charles is in a fantastic All Blacks jersey. So I'll take it back. I somehow ended up loving the Wallabies. My cousin Pablo, Paul Hayota, by the way, we grew up together, fantastic guy, and he always loved the All Blacks. So we had a small rivalry when we were young. Wallabies, All Blacks, Wallabies, All Blacks. I just fell in love with George Gregan. I thought he was just, I really liked him. But tell us about the All Blacks, your love affair for the All Blacks. And today they won 28-14. Did you watch that game?
Yes, I did. No doubt who I support from what I'm wearing. Yeah, the All Blacks won. It was a bit of a scrappy game. They did come out victors on that. Just sort of cementing the second position. They need the Box today to falter against Argentina, which seems quite unlikely, but you never know with sports.
And talking of that, by the way, talking of unlikely things, it is currently 33 minutes gone. It's nearly halftime, by the way. Argentina 13, South Africa 3.
Oh, that's good to hear.
So current standings, by the way, in the Rugby Championships, New Zealand played 6, have 19 points. South Africa played 5. Obviously, they're still going on, have 15. So the math is pretty straightforward, as Charles has said. South Africa need to win today, and they will be the Rugby Championships winner. So, yeah, good omen for you to come in studio so far. So 13-3 to South Africa. So you watched the morning game. Tell us about this season, New Zealand and South Africa in the Rugby Championships. And also, we've seen a resurgence from the Wallabies, by the way, unexpectedly. What do you make of the level of competition? Argentina have also been good. We are transitioning next year into a bigger competition, Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere together. So tell me about what your experience has been this year.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, the All Blacks starting sort of on a shaky foot, losing that one game against Argentina. They're going through a transition period. It's been a really tough start for their coach, Scott Robertson. I don't know, just trying to get the combinations right and the game plan in place. But the South Africans have just they've shown over the past few years have just been in a class of their own. Yeah. So, but everyone sort of says, let's watch the 4-year cycle. What's happening in between? Everyone is looking at the World Cup. So they're all building, and it's as you say, it's fantastic to have Australia back. It's good to see them competing again. I think they're one of the most talented players in the world. Is just getting their systems and their game in check. So it's good because then it raises the level of competition for all teams. It's enjoyable to the fans. So for us as the All Blacks, we're hoping that Argentina can pull off that surprise today. We'll take the victory where no one was expecting us to win the championship, but why not, and keep on building from there. So 34 minutes gone. Argentina 13, South Africa 3. We'll keep an eye on that. So coming back home, by the way, so Queens, Kenya Harlequins, they're your love, but you can tell, the radio generation, as I call them that, who you've played for club rugby in Kenya, and tell us generally about your experience in club rugby and how does it work? Can someone live off playing rugby in Kenya? Well, I mean, if we start way back when I started, I was still in high school. Form 3, I joined Queens. It was a pretty simple decision, pretty much because all my guys, my friends ahead of me from St. Mary's, there was a big connect between St. Mary's and Harlequins. So the likes of Oscar Adoli, Mark Holly and Peter Ochola dragged me across, and my love affair with Queens started, and it has never died. I'm really, really passionate about the club. I love everything about it. I love the people. I love the players, up to date. Whether I have played against them, coached against them, they're some of the hardest games to do when I'm playing against them. But I follow the club very closely. I try to help where I can, try to give my insights, my input where I can. And it's definitely been a great experience. Yes, so I said yes. I did start with Harlequins, and a few years later, I was still in high school, by the way. Just my final year when I was in IB, I decided to join Nondis. I just felt at the time I needed to make the shift. If especially sometimes you need to make some selfish decisions, and I felt I would get a better chance at pushing my career, and especially with the national team at that time. And also what made it easier is that Nondi started training at St. Mary's. St. Mary's became their home ground. So that was easy between school and training there. So I have also a very, very deep love for Nondis. I really appreciate a lot of good friends there. A lot of I actually captained the side, won a lot of trophies there. The last Kenya Cup actually that Nondis won, I was part of that team. So so that was that. After uni, I went to uni in Australia, came back. so don't ask me why I don't support Australia. It was a difficult it was a difficult time in Australia supporting New Zealand when the games are going on. They'll tell me, why don't you cross the border and go to school there? Yeah, but also I made some good friends there. I played the club rugby in I played for a team called Armidale All Boys in Australia, up in New South Wales. Played for University of New England. Then I had the privilege of playing for what they call a countryside. So because we're in the country, so it's like playing out of town versus Nairobi. So we'd play games against the Sydney boys, the boys from the city. So that was like a big tournament. It was almost like your state of origin, what they have in rugby league. So I played that. I got into the University Select, which was fantastic for me.
Wow.
So they picked the best out of Australian universities, and I played in that. Then came back home and came back to Queens. That's where now I played. There was a lot of 15s rugby going on there when we got involved with a lot of Elgon Cups. We didn't play a lot of games those days. So there was the annual Elgon Cup, home and away. We did there was the World Cup qualifiers. So we played the likes of Cameroon, Namibia, Botswana, and so that's the 15s career was grew there. But there was not a lot of rugby at that time. The games were far in between. Far in between. But some really good times there. We had also with the 15s team, we did pretty well. Really good path. And then my career sort of ended with an injury. Not really with an injury. I mean, I fractured my collarbone. I remember it was a Queens versus Mwamba game, and funny enough, the tackle was from Humphrey Kayangi from behind. So, but,
remember that?
So just through the healing process, while I was doing that and working on my recovery, I got into coaching, and I just never looked back. So I didn't really focus to getting back to playing, and I got into coaching. And at that time, again, the late Edward Ogre Kinyan was appointed head coach at Queens. And he asked me, a good buddy of mine, and he asked me, would you like to help me, coach the team? So it was me, him, and Toti. And we started coaching the team, and and we went on to win 3 Kenya Cups in a row. It was a really another golden moment for Queens at that time. I think it's the last time they won the Kenya Cup again.
Yes, I think in 2007, maybe.
It was 2012, 2013, around that time. So I got into coaching full and never looked back. I really, really enjoyed coaching, and I do enjoy it up to date. It's been a fantastic experience. It's my way of giving back to the game, to the young players. I like to see them thrive. I like to see them develop. And it's a joy when you see the likes of William Baka, who started as young players. This young kid who's come out of from a school in Mombasa, could hardly catch a ball, and turns out to be one of Kenya's legends. Modern day legends. Eden Aguero, and when you work with such players and you see them grow and you see them mature in their lives, and now they are coaching, it's really humbling, and it's something that I continue to give back.
Let me ask a question I've always wanted to ask professional player, or a player at your level, is explain how it works, how it feels like to be injured. So you pick up an injury, you're out of action. How does it how is the life how does the work life figure when you're injured? And then secondly, there's a transition to coaching from playing. Is there a culture shock there? Is there?
I mean, it can be lonely out there when you're injured. And unfortunately, when I was playing at that time, it was very very amateur sport at the time.
Really.
So the recovery also protocols and how you're getting back, rehabilitation is not as good as it should be, but it is what it is. So it can be very lonely, and you really need to remain focused and try and get back to playing. And the nature of sport is such, when your gap can be filled very fast, and you're forgotten very quickly. the transition to coaching for me, I found it very easy. I enjoy it. It's something you must enjoy. You need to be passionate about it, and you really need to be focused on what you want to deliver and what your outcomes need to be. You need to have a very strong philosophy, believe in your philosophy, but also coaching is a lot about man management, because you deal with a lot of different players, different age groups, different backgrounds. So that's where the challenge can be. How do I get Dennis like you? How do I get you performing at optimum? You know, every game, week in, week out. It doesn't matter what you've been through at home, where you're coming from, how school has been, what your girlfriend's doing, or at the end of the day, it's I need you to give me everything. And now you have to bring out that from all the 50-60 players you're coaching every week. It's a week in, week out, and then people think coaching is just about what you're doing on the field on training days. So there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes. The planning, analyzing other teams, working on your game plans, trying to get your combinations right. But it's something that I really, really enjoy, and I find like it just it comes naturally, and it's something that I wouldn't stop doing. I work with a lot of younger coaches, guiding them. They would share their plans. I work with them. I'll sit with them, watch how their teams are playing, and just try and help them improve. I think the key part, something that we really need to work on, especially with the coaches in this country, is more delivery. How to get your message across, how to get your players to play what you want them to do, but at the same time allow them to express themselves. These players have a natural talent. Don't take it away from them. Don't stifle their game plan. Let them play. And that's why I became a lover of All Blacks rugby. I really enjoyed the All Black side because they really allowed the players to express themselves. Even if there's a game plan, they allow you to play, and you can see the talent. And I believe it's a beautiful game, and you want people to be able to enjoy it when they're watching it, because sometimes rugby has so many rules. It can be difficult to watch, especially if you're a newcomer coming into the game. So if it remains beautiful and people can just watch it for what it is, then that's what I try and achieve every time I'm coaching.
100%. So I know you've worked recently with the Strathmore Leos generally, but any other coaching setup you've worked with generally?
Yeah, I did. Funny enough, I had a stint with Kenya A. That was the Kenya 15s, the second side. I did a stint with them in my younger coaching career. That was pretty impressive. We ended up in a tournament in Arusha, which we won, a four nations tournament, which was good. I assisted Mitch Ochola at Kenya Sevens. That was pretty much, that's a baptism of fire. That's not a joke, but a really, really good experience. I picked up a lot of lessons. You pick up a lot of things from the coaches out there. You pick up a lot of lessons from your players when you're with them. You're stuck with them for 2-3 weeks in an environment. It's just you and the world out there, you versus the world out there. So those have been the stints. I have worked with St. Mary's for a while, and I obviously did then gave myself a challenge and said, get out of your comfort zone, and went to Cabras.
I know.
Yeah, so I did a year and a half at Cabras, which I enjoyed thoroughly. I said, let me get away from Nairobi, people that I know, players that I know, a different setup, and actually test myself.
Wow, quite the risk taker.
Which it was amazing. And aside from the rugby, I looked at the culture, the environment there, and what they were doing. I'm not surprised that they sit at the top of rugby, of the rugby world today. Just the way things are done and the whole setup there. And the best thing is that I made some really, really good friends from those players. We still talk till today. Some really good kids. It's good to see how some of them have grown, cemented their positions in the different national teams. So those are some of the stints that I've worked with.
Fantastic. Interesting you mentioned Mitch Ochola, because a fun fact, by the way, to anyone listening, I made up a number of training teams. I trained a lot. Mitch Ochola at that point used to train the Lenana School, Min Maroon team, and I did a lot of training sessions with Mitch. So he's a fantastic human being, and he was a great friend of mine. So it's good to hear you speak about Mitch. And what's he up to nowadays, by the way?
Yeah, Mitch is in the States, and funny enough, Mitch also had a very successful stint with the Leos.
Yes,
and
100%.
During this 7 series, he actually did get in touch with me. One of the few people that did, and it was a very pleasant surprise, and he offered me all the support. And which was fantastic. I played with Mitch for many years, played against him for many years, from school to club. We played in the national team together. We coached together. So it was really touching to get a message from him, and we had a chat, and he had been following keenly. So yeah, I mean, great guy.
Fantastic, great guy. Yeah. Talking about the Shrapnel Leos, by the way, congratulations, by the way. I know they just missed out on the recent top honors in the Rugby 7 series in Kenya. Came second. What's the work being done at Shrapnel Leos? I know you've worked there. What's the secret to success, if you like? They've come a long way, obviously. So what's happening down there at Shrapnel Leos? What's the new thing there?
Well, under the tutelage of their head coach Willis Ojal, I mean, he's trying to build a culture. He's been there for about a year and a half or so, 2 now, trying to build a culture, trying to build a spirit around the team. The team is very player led.
Yeah,
they've got a fantastic leadership group there, working really well. They're really tight-knit sort of family. Being a university side, the players are not going to be there for too long. They finish their education and move on to whatever other clubs or work life or whatever path their lives lead them through. But it's been a very interesting setup. Very, very enjoyable group of players to work with. We created some very deep bonds there, and they were just an amazing bunch of young lads to work with. Exciting, really want to play rugby, and the best thing about them, they were just easy to coach. They played to instruction, but at the same time expressed themselves, played with a freedom, and really enjoyed themselves. It's a pity we just couldn't keep up, maybe just faltered in a tournament or 2. Of course, you just couldn't match the firepower of maybe KCB in terms of depth, but they really pulled on a good show, and I'm really proud of them, and they can only build from that.
Yeah, by the way, congrats to KCB, by the way. Big move for them over the off-season, bringing in Kenya Sevens captain Japolo himself, George Oro. So that has actually, in my opinion, taken them across the line in this year's circuit. So fantastic, KCB, and well done also to the Leos. And I'll also give a big up to my former university team, the Daystar Falcons. They've also come a long way, by the way, and they are now competing at the top level. We have, unofficially, or rather even officially, the best winger in Kenya Sevens right now, Patrick Odongo. So fantastic there from Daystar Falcons. We'll talk a lot more about the Sevens, the Sevens and 15 setup. The 15 setup is just about to start after the Safari Sevens. Next week, by the way, Charles, we are down to the Safari Sevens, and then the Fladley tournament starts the 15th season. So tell me about Safari Sevens, your experience there previously, and what you expect of the Kenyan team in the coming tournament next week.
Yeah, so the Safari Sevens kicks off next weekend. Expecting it again to be full of thrills and spills, and fantastic tournament over the years. It's had its ups and downs, but we're very proud as a country to host it, and hopefully now maybe this year then we can kickstart it and kick it off to become a big thing, and start to host some world-class players and world-class teams consistently, which is really important. It's important that we get better teams and better players coming in year out. Yeah, so my experience, again, interesting story. When the Sevens started the first tournament, I was actually a ball boy at the first tournament. Yeah, so and never looked back, and had the privilege to play in in '97 when it started. I was the ball boy. I played as a ball boy, and always said, I want to don the Kenya colors and play here. And then '98 they introduced the Safari Sevens school section, which I had the privilege of playing and captaining, and we happened to win that. So that was good, and then that's now got into the national team and featured for for the Sevens team in a number of tournaments there. Played even in a number of tournaments when Queens got invited for Queens. Yeah, so we're looking forward to a great weekend next weekend. It's at Nyayo Stadium. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Some good teams coming along, and but the Kenya team should be very strong. I know they've picked this recently picked a squad, a training squad from the recent series that's finished. So they should be very strong, and with the experience that we have, especially from the World Series, I should see Kenya on the podium.
100%. We expect Kenya on the podium by the other Safari 7. So I believe Charles will be there for us next week. We will make sure he goes there and represents Radio Generation if possible. So thank you, Charles. We'll be right back after the top of the hour with Charles to say his bye-byes and introduce a special guest. But we are on 88.8 Radio Generation, and this is a Sport Garage. We've been with you 4 p.m. We're heading to 5 p.m. We will be back.
It's 5 o'clock.